the topic of the presentation is soil anchors. So we'll just start whatever we hear about soil anchors. They are just the opposite of piles. So in civil engineering, we generally use piles and other kind of foundation reinforcement methods. And this soil anchors are just opposite of pile. We'll see in the introduction. So our presentation will be like this. We'll first introduce the anchors, what are they, and then we'll classify them based on different methods, their proportions, and what are their applications. And then we'll jump to their applications and then their design, how are they designed, like their strength and which conditions are good for which kind of anchors. So that's how. And then we'll jump to the analysis software where I'll be giving a demo with the GeoSlope software. So, and then we'll just go through some conclusions, whatever we have learned or something. And then let's just jump to our introduction. So I already told you that soil anchors or ground anchors, basically soil and rock, there are two type of grounds. So we generally don't call them soil anchors. So we call them ground anchors. And these ground anchors are just opposite of piles. What are piles? So as you have seen here in the diagram, just look at the diagram here. Pile foundation is a foundation on which we can build a column or any structure. So a column is, as you know, a basic building block of a building where we build columns and then we have beams and other stuff. So in old times, we used to build very basic houses, in which we have shear walls. So you might have seen them. There are girders and there are slab girders houses. But now we use only column and beam structures, and then we build our houses. So these structures, these houses or buildings, they are built upon foundation. So pile is a type of foundation which is compressed, and this compression force it takes and then projects it into the ground. So the cable anchors or soil anchors are just opposite of what the piles do. Piles accept compression, and if we apply tension, then these piles are just not able to get the tension. They have some tension capability, but these anchors are specifically designed for tension. So as you can just have the analogy here that anchors and pile foundations are just opposite of each other. So pile foundation is for compression and ground anchors are for tension. So as you can see here that what these anchors are doing are they're just holding the ground. So you can see cable anchors, as you have seen in most of the bridges around here. If you have heard about Lakshman Jhula, and nowadays there is a big talk about the Bandra Worli Sea Link in Bombay. So the newest engineering marvel in India, I guess, that was a cable anchor bridge. The anchors generally are built for tension. So similarly, the soil anchors are for tension, pile compression and soil tension. You can see how they work. They just hold the ground. They just reinforce the ground. So just move ahead. For the classification type, I have described it on the basis of my learning that the classification of anchors should be based on their installation type and their material types. So it's not that simple because there are so many anchors. There are geosynthetic anchors, and there are various materials nowadays. So you cannot even, if you have a specific problem, you can just tell the person what kind of problem you have, and he will suggest you what kind of anchor will be required. And based on installation types, you have to just think of piles, because there are several piles like bored in situ, and there are driven piles or pushed piles. So anchors are very similar to piles in a case. Just compression and tension you have to keep in your mind. Based on installation types, as you can see here, we have two types of anchors, specifically plate anchors, which what we do is scoop the ground and we dig it till a specific length where we assume that this length will be good enough to support the anchor in the ground. And then we put a plate, and through the plate we apply the anchor, we push the anchor, and we apply some pre-tension, and then we bury the anchor. It's like pulling something. Just assume that you are pulling something out of the ground. So this anchor is holding. So let's say you have a big tower, big communication tower, or big electricity tower. These kind of towers are based on this anchor. So the foundation of these towers are based on this kind of anchors. You have to think of that. So plate anchors are like that. And there are driven anchors, or you can say augured anchor. If you have known about auger is like a helical pile which we apply centrifugal force to drive it into the ground. So there are several driving types. I'm just calling about some kind of pushing mechanism. So if we don't scoop out the ground, we just want to push our anchor or whatever the facility is. So we push the anchor into the ground and then we keep it here with some kind of anchor mechanism at the end. So the tension is there in both kind of anchors. So we have, based on insulation type, we have two kind of anchor, plate and driven anchor. So just if you forget about these things, so just think of piles. So board piles and then driven piles. So can think of the similar type of anchors. And based on materials, I will just drive the analogy with piles because this is very similar. So based on material types, there are grouted anchors and there are steel cable anchors, and there are several other geosynthetic or other kind of materials which we can use in the anchors. So we do in anchors is that we have a tendon which is generally made up of some kind of metal or some kind of tension bearing material, and that tension bearing material is surrounded by some kind of grout which can some kind of frictional resistance. That's how we apply some different materials in the anchor. So in simple grouted anchors, we have some kind of steel tendon, and we apply a grout. As you can see here, we apply a grout around it so that it has some frictional energy when we apply some kind of pull out force. This is a grouted kind of anchor. So, and steel cable anchor is very like, if we don't have any grout, we just call it a steel cable anchor. So there are several kind of rock bolts. If you have long nails which are similar to, like, if you have seen in the tunnels and somewhere around, there are long nails like 2 or 3 meters which we apply into the ground, and then these kind of anchors, or we call them rock bolts or soil nails specifically, so they hold the ground into its place with the tension force. And then there are other kind of materials which we can apply in the anchors. So there are epoxy. On one of my site visits, I have gone to a old British, it was a under bridge in the Kanpur Jhansi railway. So I've been there, and they used the Indian Railways. I will not disclose the names, but some kind of consultancy workers, they used epoxy materials to the holes to reinforce that material. There comes the epoxy. It is just like a synthetic resin. If you have known resins, so the resin generally comes from the tree, but synthetic resin we can manufacture that in the laboratory. That is also helpful because it sets very fast. These are the basic classification of ground anchors, and based on rock anchors and soil anchors, this classification might differ a little, but it's very general, so it will like that only. So what are these anchors are used for? So as we have already seen, these are the like tension counterpart of the piles. So if we want to apply we want to give some ability of holding some tension into the soil, because soil is only a compression member. So like if in concrete, we generally study a beam where we have concrete and then we have steel bars, rebars. So those rebars are used for tension and the concrete is used for just compression. So tension anchors or anchors are used for tension, and then soil is just for compression. So soil doesn't have any tension capacity unless we have some kind of cohesion. Generally soil, if you just pull the soil, it will come out generally unless it's cohesive. So anchors are used only for applying tension, and in that capacity only, and that tension enhancement can give rise to highway retaining walls and slope stabilization. So if you have seen some kind of cut highway, let's say there is a big rock, and if you have seen some kind of movie where they or in a YouTube video where they cut the whole rock or a whole mountain and then they build the road. So there they require some kind of retaining mechanism because they don't want the rocks to fall on the road, and that's why they use this kind of anchors with the retaining walls to hold the retaining walls in its place. We need this anchors. And the similar situation is for slope stabilization. So if we have some kind of structure just beside the hill, so we want the hill to be stabilized. So in a hilly region, let's say if you go to Shimla or some place, Manali, there you will see a lot of this kind of slope stabilization structures. And there are some projects coming up in the northeast. There they use a lot of anchors, ground anchors, a lot. Like at a space of 2 meters, they have like hundreds of soil anchors with the spacing of 2 meter. So in a kilometer, you can find up to 500 or 600 anchors, so on. So slope stabilization is one of the application, and foundation stabilization is a one more kind of application. Here you can see in the diagram that a basic concrete dam stabilization with the anchor. It's very basic because you haven't heard of it. Even if you have been to a site visit, you will not see this kind of application of an anchor. So this kind of application you will see in generally earthen dams, but I have just shown you the diagram of concrete dam because there are several applications, but it's not that rare. But in India, they don't generally use concrete dam stabilization with anchors. Mainly earthen dams are stabilized by the anchors, and then there are solar panel stabilization. It's just an example. So just assume that how many structures there are which are affected by wind. So there are wind tunnels, wind turbines, and there are large transmission towers. There are electricity towers. Any kind of tower which is large is generally stabilized by anchors. So the anchor keeps the structure to not tilt a lot, and it keeps the foundation intact. So it's kind of a, like, similar to pile, but they apply anchors as well because piles don't generally take tension that much. If a pull out occurs at some capacity, so let's say there is a lot of wind at some point, so they don't generally support it by pile, but they also apply some anchors. So pile and anchors can also apply and can also be applied in a combination. This kind of application, this kind of use of an anchor can also be seen in the practical. So this is the design. If you have seen a cross section of an anchor or a cable, let's say an electricity cable. So if you have seen a basic electricity cable, you can see on the right side of the screen that anchor with metallic bar, this cross section looks very similar to a electricity wire. So in electricity wire, we have a outer layer, plastic or magnesium outer layer. Then inside we have some kind of wire, and then one more core of plastic, and then in the innermost core we have a final wire like a copper or some wire. So this kind of metallic bar represent a basic wire, like a electricity wire, and the cable anchors or not robots, but cables, but cable anchors are generally made up of this kind of composition in the cross section. So this two kind of composition we will see mostly in the anchors. So if you go through the cross section, there are two kind of cross sections. So as I've told you, this metallic bar combination is generally for rock bolts. So I'm sorry, I told it for not for rock bolt. So it was generally for the rock bolt. So we'll see rock bolts are generally like a large nail. So they drive them into the rock or a soil, like they push just like a hammer and a nail, but the scale is very large. So you can see our general nail is like 2 inch or 3 inch, but just assume that to be out of 2 meter. So 2 meter is like a single one floor house is of about 3 meters. So we drive this metallic bars or rock bolts into the ground up to 3 meters to stabilize the ground. So just for the scale, assume for the scale of single floor of house will be of length of a single anchor, a small anchor. As you see the anchor with metallic bar, we just have one single metallic bar for the strength. This is generally for small length or smaller diameter we use this because this is easy to apply, and we can apply more of these anchors in a smaller area, so that if one anchor breaks and so that overall capacity will not decrease. So maybe in tension we have applied 10 of rock bolts or 10 of soil nails. So maybe one could break at the point of 1 year, and in the 10-year maybe 5 would break, but all of them will not break. So the capacity, the serviceability will be there. So the slope will not totally fail, it will slowly tilt, so that people will know and then can repair it. That's what happened in civil engineering. We create structure to just provide a surface. We cannot just stabilize them for the eternity. So anchor with metallic, the other one on the left side, I should have started it first, but anyway, the anchor with metallic strand, it's generally like a rope. If you have seen a rope, there are several strands and they are spiraled around each other. So the anchor, there are several metallic strands. assume that this anchor with metallic bar are compressed into like microscopic position, and they are just forming a pattern. So as you can see here, there are several smaller cables, and they are in a pattern. They are rolled around into a core area, and then we cover that with some kind of grout or some kind of other material to hold them into a place, just like a RCC tube, and that's how we provide more strength. So generally, self-drilling anchors are made up of this combination. These are very large diameter anchors, and like not like large diameter means about it may be about 10 centimeter to 50 centimeter, that large diameter they are generally made up of. And then they provide strength based on this internal strand. So this internal strand, they can break one by one. So one anchor will not even break completely if all the strands are not broken. So this is how they provide the strength. So these are generally more stable than single metallic bar, and they have different uses based on the length and diameter. And there are micro piles as well. So micro piles are similar to piles, but they generally differ in the application of compression and tension. People generally design microfile piles for the pull out to resist the pullout. But micropiles can also be used as a tension mechanism anchor. So micropiles are like the middle in the middle of this pile anchor. So they can be used as both. They can be used as pile and they can be used as anchors. So you can see, but I've written in the slide that specifically micropiles are used for compressive strength enhancement, because I have seen in my practical life that generally micropiles are used for this, just for the same as the piles as they go by the name. But they can oppose pullouts similar to anchor with like frictional element attached to them like grouts. So this is the basic internal, like how the anchors are made up of based on their cross section. So this is a basic design of anchor, and now we'll move to the design which we are concerned with, because this earlier slide generally tells you about how the anchors are manufactured, the factory conditions, how they are made, what you want to order for your condition. Let's say you have a rock or soil, or you want a large diameter, so this is what you want to purchase. Then the basic civil engineer concern, how these anchors are designed on paper or soft. So what we generally do is we stabilize some kind of slope, even if it is a pullout for some kind of structure. That is stabilization of that structure. So we just find out the ratio of resisting force and the force which is trying to overturn the structure. So that is a kind of a factor which determines its safety. So this is what we do. So these points will guide you. Just let me go through them. So we find the anchor strength based on, as earlier we described the composition of the anchor. You can see that this metallic strand kind of anchor, like self-drilling anchor, they have generally large, better strength in tension as well as friction, both. But the application can be different. So the basic theories are provided by Mayer of Wisick, and nowadays there are several theories as well. But the basic theories are based on the work of Mayer of. So these they have provided the theory of pullout and tension capacity of an anchor. But in a complex world, in real world, anchor has tension capacity as well as shear capacity as well as frictional capacities. So there are several methods in which we can design an anchor. So generally based on this mechanism, based on these theories, we come to a point where we generally use limit equilibrium method, because in concrete design we initially used working stress method and then we moved to the limit state analysis. So here as well we used limit equilibrium method, which is nowadays very common, and it's almost used in all the fields for the design of anchor, slope stability, all kind of design in soil. So one of the method which uses limit equilibrium is Morgenstern-Price method, which I haven't written here, but we'll deal with it in next slides. So Morgenstern-Price and several methods use limit equilibrium. Most modern is Morgenstern-Price. So what this method does is they just keep applying the load, and then they check at which load the anchor will start failing. So they'll check the limit at which the anchor fails. So it's very basic. I haven't used a lot of maths in these slides because I just don't want to go into the maths because of the time constraints. So we'll move on to the design checks. So what we do is just like just piles. What we do is we apply some kind of design checks. So let's say pull out strength. We generally in the pile we check pull out strength. We test the piles for the time to time manner like 28 days, just like concrete. So we apply the similar test to the anchors. We can go for the full prototype testing or a small scale test. So we can do both. So it is very similar to the pile load test if you have gone through pile designing. And there are several other points which should be noted that corresponds to like 20% of the design. 80% design is generally the initial load, and 20% of the design is like loads that come later in the life of a structure, like creep, rust, and thermal loads. Those are also analyzed like with this design. So the composition of 80-20 can differ, like 90% load can come at an instant at the starting of the structure, and then 10% load will come later. Maybe 50% load will come initially, and then the remaining 50% will come later because the people are moving into the structure or something like that. And there are structures getting built over another structure, supporting structure. So that's how we design. We just take a structure and then we apply the anchors and then we check the load at which they are failing. This is very basic design method. So the pioneer method which are used, like the first ones which started all this the designing of anchor, are very similar to the theory proposed by Terzaghi. So Terzaghi proposed a theory in which we started analyzing foundation as with some physics and some soil mechanics, in which we apply some pressure bulb under the soil layer. This is very similar. Here what we do is we have a anchor, and as we are pulling it out, we apply this some kind of pressure triangle here. So this pressure triangle, what it does is it gives us a specific diagram of what is resisting the anchor. And then there is this friction cylinder, soil cone. In soil cone we have a triangle, and in friction cylinder we just have a simple cylinder. So one method is simpler, one method is a little bit tough, but they have managed to start some kind of designing procedure. And as the time passed, this method have developed into various methods like basics and Meyerhoff's and then Morgenstern Price. So this is just for the plate anchors, but we can use them for driven anchors for frictional capacities. So this kind of methods are like what kind of like, I just want you to know the basics, how this analysis is started. So there is soil which is resisting the pull out of an anchor. There is anchor, the own capacity of anchor which is resisting its own breakage. That's how the anchor design was, the pioneered. This is the most important of part of this presentation, because generally we don't we don't provide any software demo. But I have tried to fix a demo in very short while. As you have seen the title of the slide, software is just like a black box. So what you provide some input and then you get some output. So you have to know what kind of input are you providing, because you will anyway get an output. It might be something and it might mean something, it might not mean something, but you will get some output. You have to know that makes sense or not. So every software is designed to give some kind of output. That's how this software people sell these things, because they generally provide some output. Unlike your pen and paper, where if you get confused, you will see that there is some problem, but softwares will give out some kind of output. So you have to see if that output is garbage or not. So there are several softwares like GeoSlope, RockScience, even Plexus uses the C5 reduction method to give out some output based on slope stability. So we just want to know what is the factor of a structure or of a slope, some kind of building. So we apply anchors or we apply geosynthetics, then we model the geometry, and we input the properties, and then we run the analysis. That's how they give out something. Generally this software uses Morgenstern Price, which is the most modern method, and then later method which you have learned, Swedish Circle, Bishop's method, and Janbu's methods as well. All these methods are included in the softwares, and whatever you want, you can run the method. Then you will get some factor of safety. You will get some surface of the slope which is cutting the slope. Maybe it's circle, maybe not. but you'll get some output. So that's how these work. There are finite element software, as I told you, Plexus and Abacus, but Plexus doesn't use finite element, or should I say, like, it uses some kind of finite element method, not totally like Abacus. It uses C5 reduction method also with finite element to give out some output. So what it does is it has the properties and it changes the slip surfaces so that we get the least C and phi, and then we get the least factor of safety, and the lowest factor of safety which we want will can be get as output by Plexus. In Abacus we don't have that facility. We cannot get a specific factor of safety, but what we can do is we can somehow code it in Python, and then by getting some post processing and pre processing, what we can do is we can somehow generate the overall forces, resisting forces, and then some kind of driving forces that might be causing some safety issues, and then we can get the factor of safety based on this ratio. So there are methods, but the easiest one are RockScience and Geoslope based on my knowledge. So I'm not saying that there are not other softwares. Let's just move on to the software demo. As you can see that I have this Geoslope software, and so you can see that in the software I have started the analysis based on I just create a new file. There are some settings, there are some configuration which you can see here. So you can see that there are functions which can be used, and there are analysis types which can be used. I'm just going to use Morgenstern price here. There are several methods, there are several analysis types which you can. Side functions are generally like how are they going to create the mathematical equation. I generally use half side, and this is default as well. We are going to do a static analysis, so we'll not be using any pseudostatic factors. So let's just go on. I created a slope, so I'll just going to draw the region. Based on this, you can see that the region can be just drawn simply into the software geometry. So I'll just draw a region, as you can see. So this region is, you can assume a simple road is going through the flat, and then there is a wall, a retaining wall there. And after drawing the region, what we want is we want to create a material for the region. We'll create a new C5 material, I guess. So generally there are C5 material based on Moore column model. So there are several other materials, as you can see here: bedrock, bilinear, underent. So I generally go with Moore column, and we can apply some unit weight, let's say 1.8 Newton. So that's what I'm doing. So 30 kb. So I'm just saying that you can apply the properties based on your literature or whatever you are getting. So 1.8 kilonewton, I thought that it should be at that point of drawing this, doing this analysis. I thought that 1.8 kilonewton per meter square will do some justice. After the material, we assign the material. After creating the material, we assign it. There is this method to draw slip surfaces. So I'm not going to go with the method which was by default given. I generally use this grid and radius method, which is given here, and except for because this is simple, and this give us more variability in the surfaces. So you will see what slip surfaces are we getting. What we'll do is now we have changed the analysis type and slip surface types. So we'll go and draw some slip surfaces. So the grid will be used for the point by which we want to create circles, slip circles. So I'll just use the increment of 10 by 10 to make the analysis faster. So this kind of grid will do, and each point of the grid will have some, we can create some circular arcs. The circular arcs will go from the point where we define our radius. So here we'll have radius, will increment, will draw 10 as increment. So total slip surfaces will be 10 into 10 into 10, that will be 1,000. That's how we have drawn the slip surfaces and the radius. Little slow because I want you to understand. Before starting the analysis, we need to save. So I saved it and then it started running. So we'll wait a little to finish it. So you can see there are several surfaces 1, 3, 3, 1. So generally the Geoslope adds one surfaces to each. So as you can see here it has increased 11 into 11 into 11 from 10 to 10 into 10. So we get 1, 3, 3, 1 surfaces in all. So you can see here that this is a table. We have f of s, that means factor of safety and the slip surface or the surfaces which is cutting, the failure surfaces which is drawn there, and the FOS is very large, like 18 or something, because it is based on this material property. So you can see the slip surfaces are very vivid, and but the factor of safety is currently in this scenario is very large here. Maybe now we draw reinforcement load, and this factor of safety might change. So the factor of safety is basically based on the specific surface which is getting cut is resisted by this reinforcement which we are providing. So I am just providing a nail reinforcement. As we have discussed, there are anchors and there are nails. So nails are completely, as you can see, we don't need to define the embedded length in anchors in GeoSlope. So if you are getting confused, if you are missing something out, you don't need to worry. So you can see I have driven an anchor and I have designed properties here. And this is just a basic I'm telling you. So the anchors, you can draw the anchors and you can assign the properties. So I'll just keep it here, and you can see that there are several other properties of anchor. So there are several properties of anchor: tensile strength, resistance reduction factor RRF, or bond diameter, nail spacing. There are several properties which you can define based on your specific design, specific analysis type, and which you are in your construction, which whatever material you are using, you have to get those properties from there. So these properties will define how this anchor or reinforcement load, as we say in the GeoSlope, and then this anchor might resist the force. So I have just kept it that this short, so you can use these softwares for the analysis. This presentation will be on YouTube, so you can just try this out, this small analysis on GeoSlope. So in the final slide, or just kind of see what we have learned. So ground anchors, or basically soil and rock anchors, are used to stabilize both soil and rock. So, and their design is based on what kind of material they are being applied on. Let's say we are stabilizing a soil. We might need a self-drilling anchor because that will be easy to drive into the soil. If we are using rock, we might need bolts. And if we are using some large structure, we might need again self-drilling anchors. And we have small structure, we might use bolts or micropiles. So basically that's what I'm including from the what design and what kind of material we will require. So as we have seen, basically limit state analysis is very common for the analysis. You can see Morgenstern, you have seen Morgenstern price in GeoSlope software, and many literature will provide you that limit state analysis is very common. Nowadays it is the thing which is, it is general, it is the default method, as you can see. Now we'll see that software, we have also seen that software based analysis is like very easy to do. Basically it is a black box, you put something, you'll get something, but you need to know what you are putting there, and it is the output is not garbage. So generally from my perspective, I will say that the industry looks for in a person of geotechnical background, they look for software skills, not a lot, but you have to have the base. You need to know what is an anchor. Like the basic skills are the most important. So if you know some kind of software, it will work, but you have to know what kind of input you are giving and what kind of output you are getting. If you go there in an interview, you sit and you just say that I know this software, just hire me, that will not work. You have to have the basic knowledge of everything in anchors as well. So finally, as a point I want to make, so the trees are, I'm not an environmentalist, but I just want to say that if you are you have an empty space, you can just plant trees. Those are the best anchors, and anchors are just a quick fix. So they can fix the structure for maybe 100 years, but not for an eternity, as we have seen. So I'll just finish it. So thank you.